How's it been, everybody? Today we got a crazy one. That's right, I am saying it. The bite of 83 never happened. In fact, 83 doesn't even connect to the crying child, but a different kid entirely. And did I mention that the infamous bite actually went down in 87? It's my job today to share my thoughts and allow you guys to be the judge. So, without further ado, let's start the theory. We have all heard it before. The crying child, or CC for short, was bullied by almost everyone in town for some reason. Man, everyone in this town's kind of a jerk, what the heck. But CC was bullied the most by his big brother Michael. During the party for the crying child, Michael and his brosifs, these guys right here, pull what I'm assuming they thought was the ultimate prank, putting CC's head inside the jaws of Fredbear. This prank, however, leads to the unfortunate bite of the child's head. What's interesting is that we have assumed that this bite takes place in 1983 because of secrets that seem to reference this event, like the TV show Fredbear and Friends that has the date 1983, then their sister location with the 1983 passcode, which once entered changes the monitors to the FNAF 4 bedroom, and let's not forget the Fall Fest 83 banner in the Curse of Dreadbear hub. While all these are pretty darn good points, allow me to raise reasonable doubt to all of these claims. Starting with FNAF 4's TV, the date 1983 appears on the TV along with the show Fredbear and Friends. Now, according to the Ultimate Guidebook, the 1983 date is the show's copyright. I have to be frank and say that this really doesn't prove that CC's minigame story takes place in 1983. I mean, what's to say it's not just a recording of the show? Then this would make the date irrelevant. Or if the show was established in 1983, then I think it's weird that the show has the established date as if it's saying it's been around for a while. If it's 83, then the show is definitely not old, as it wouldn't even be 1 year old yet. The banner in Curse of Dreadbear says, Fall Fest 83. Now this can't be for the crying child, because the minigames take place during summer. We know this thanks to a story called Into the Pit. While I get into more detail later about the significance of this story, all we need to know right now is that Into the Pit is all about CC. As I said, we'll talk about that later. Into the Pit takes place during summer vacation, telling us the minigames take place during summer break, which does make sense since there are a lot of kids out and about during the day. Alright, since the fall part doesn't match CC, and the date isn't for him, then who is this referring to? Well, I'm here to say, it's Charlotte. In fact, all the 1983 references have been for her. In the fourth closet, it's revealed that Charlotte's date of death is 1983, and I can do us one better, thanks to the Silver Eyes. In this book, we learn that Charlotte died on Halloween. That's why the banner says Fall Fest 83. It's referring to Charlotte's death date. And this explains why FNAF 4's Halloween update added the Nightmarionette, the nightmare version of the puppet, because of Charlotte's death on Halloween. And in sister location, the passcode of 1983 must have been made by William because he wanted to commemorate the date of his first kill. After all, it was Charlotte's death that started William down this awful cycle. Finally, the TV is the one I don't have a definite answer for. However, I do think that it's trying to tell us of Charlotte's connection to Fredbear's Family Diner, which was the last place she was at before her death in 1983. Now that we have ruled out Cece's connection to 1983, allow me to tell Cece's story, and for that, we have to talk about time machines.
Into the pit.
All this time, the Phasma Fright story Into the Pit held the clues to revealing the tragic life of the crying child. It took me to read the graphic novel version to really understand it. You see, guys, I believe that Into the Pit has been symbolically telling us that Cece not only lived past the year 1983, but that he witnessed all of his father's murders. To understand what I'm talking about, let's dive into the pit ourselves. Oswald is the star of this story, and he represents the crying child. Oswald discovers a ball pit that leads him back in time to a Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in 1985. In this pizzeria from the past, Oswald notices a creepy spring bunny who seems to be watching, if not downright stalking, Oswald. Eventually, this yellow rabbit gestures the boy to come with him to a back room where 6 deceased kids sit. This scene represents the 6 victims of Afton and how Cece saw their gruesome fates. I believe that this is also backed in Pizzeria Simulator's insanity ending. Have a listen.
Congratulations! You went somewhere you weren't supposed to go, saw something you weren't supposed to see, and prevented a tidy resolution to a messy problem. Needless to say, you're fired. But before you go, take this certificate of insanity. We're giving it to you to ensure that no one believes you, and to ensure that we can promptly replace you without incident. There is a truck waiting for you outside. Take care.
So, someone who went somewhere they shouldn't and saw something they shouldn't have seen? And to fix the problem, the bear gets a lobotomy? Coincidental, huh? But anyway, continue with the story. Oswald is frightened by what he just witnessed and makes a break for the exit. The scared child manages to return to his time, but not without trouble. Spring Bonnie's arms come out of the ball pit and grabs hold of Oswald's dad, pulling the man into the pit. After this, Spring Bonnie emerges, and it seems that the rabbit has taken the place of Oswald's dad, as only Oswald sees the yellow rabbit man, whereas everyone else just sees Oswald's dad. I believe this part of the story is telling us that only Oswald sees the rabbit because Cece was the only one who knew that his father was a killer, and so the crying child could only see his father as the killer in the yellow rabbit suit. And Cece being witness to all of his father's murders explains the appearance of the nightmare animatronics. See, it's believed, myself included, that the nightmares use illusion discs, and illusion discs basically make people see what they think they should see. And in the crying child's case, he sees huge sharp teeth on withered animatronics. This is because William would stuff his victims into suits in order to hide their bodies. This action made it look to the crying child that the animatronic characters were eating the children, hence the teeth. Since Oswald sees the kids in 1985, this tells us that Cece at least lived past the year 1983. However, I want to be clear, I do not think that all 6 kids died in 1985. I do think that the kids that possess Freddy, Foxy, Chica, and Bonnie did die in 85, however, not the last 2. These last 2 being Charlotte, dying in 1983, leaving Golden Freddy to the year 1987. And speaking of 1987, the time has come for me to make my case on how Cece was bit in 1987. If you haven't already, strap in.
There was the bite of 87. Yeah. It's amazing that the human body can live without the frontal lobe.
In FNAF 1, Phone Guy says that the victim of the 87 bite lost their frontal lobe. This matches Cece being bit on his head. Even though it's like not just the frontal lobe, but more his entire head. But since this is 8-bit graphics we're talking about, I'm just gonna say front lobe got hurt. And Phone Guy also mentions that the bite of 87 caused the animatronics to be stuck on stage during the day, establishing that this bite probably happened during the time of FNAF 2, since one of the cool new features of the animatronics was that they could walk around during the day.
Advanced mobility, they even let them walk around during the day. Isn't that neat?
However, I can do us one better and say that I know that this happened during FNAF 2's time. Thanks to old Jeremy's paycheck, we know that the year is 1987, and yes, I'm ignoring that the month is wrong. I'm just going to chalk that up as Scott changed his mind on the month. And according to FNAF 2's Phone Guy, on night 6, he says that the pizzeria is shut down, and that there is one more event scheduled for tomorrow, and that it's a birthday. Interesting, right? A birthday. And Cece's party, happening at the time of FNAF 2, explains even further the Nightmare animatronics' appearance. When I described them earlier, I mentioned how they looked withered. You know where I'm going with this. They're withered because of the withered animatronics. The animatronics that hid the bodies of William's victims. You can even see that the nightmares and the withers share unique similarities besides them both being withered. Both Chicas have the same style jaw hinge and have 3 toes. Both Freddys have damaged knees and a similar style jaw hinge. Both Bonnies have their suit missing on their right hand and left foot. And finally, both Foxies have similar stomach damage and large mouths. But why is there a Fredbear and Spring Bonnie in the FNAF 2 location? And how is Fredbear strong enough to crush a skull? Even though game theory has discovered that animatronics do not possess the strength to crush a child's skull. Well, allow me to turn our attention to FNAF 2's phone guy on night 6 again. Someone used one of the suits. We had a spare in the back, a yellow one. Someone used it. Now none of them are acting right. Not only does this tell us that there were yellow suits in the back explaining how Fredbear is here in FNAF 2, but also that someone, William, took one of them and used it. For dare I say murder? And we know that 87 is Golden Freddy's date of death in our timeline, which is backed by the Silver Eyes. The day Michael Brooks, the kid who possesses Golden Freddy in the books, was murdered, or I guess he goes missing, the animatronics on stage were going crazy, and even the technician didn't know what was going on. The animatronics went crazy because they were possessed. This confirms that Golden Freddy dies after the Freddy gang. So, if a regular old Fredbear animatronic doesn't have enough strength to crush a skull, then I bet you a possessed animatronic does. Especially one possessed by the one you should not have killed. And this all explains why Mangle has the sounds of a police radio reporting a child with frontal lobe damage. And finally, that's why there's a Mangle in this girl's bedroom, and why this little girl has a toy of Chica with her beak falling out. They're all here to tell us that the toy animatronics are present at the time Cece is bit, making this 1987. Whew, that was in depth. But this is FNAF, so it should be expected. So tell me guys, what do you think? I know that there are a few holes with this theory, but I have to say that FNAF theories are never perfect. You just gotta try your best to get the least holes. I do believe that the majority of this theory does make sense, and it really does feel right to me, but you know, that's just what I think. Now it's your turn, guys. What's your thoughts and opinions regarding today's theory? Do you think I'm wrong, or do you think I'm right? And if any of you have anything you want to add or take away from today's theory, then by all means, go right ahead. Write it down in the comments below. I'll definitely be reading it and checking it out. And I do want to say that I know that the comments could get kind of nasty for this one because it is a controversial idea. So I just want to ask, please be respectful and no bullying each other. Everyone has their own theories, and we can all agree that having a theory that we like to believe in is really part of the fun of FNAF's lore. So don't forget to have fun with today's theory. After all, that's why we do what we do, because we love doing it. But that's going to be it for me today. Thank you guys for your time and for listening to me present my case. It does mean a lot that you do that. And I look forward to the day that our paths cross again. Until then, I'll be eating pizza with Chica and playing sweet tunes for the puppet. Until next time, guys. Bye-bye.
Delicious. See you next time.